complete bad design, right? Have we? We have done that. Or we have so let me check the front end to see what is the name of that our site self, the folder. This is not it. NIT something, have you? NIT. NIT. Have you? So how many of us have done the assignment? This was the nav bar we designed. The one we are planning to make responsive. So how many of us have done it, please? One person, 2, 3. So this was what we designed last time. So what I actually want to achieve is to add, remember that we are trying to make this responsive, which means that websites should be adapted to different devices, screen. So let's expect it. So it's not yet adapted, though it's adapting, but we have not implemented or added the few JavaScripts, right? So I told us that I'm just going to flash it. I'm not going to explain it because we have not gotten to JavaScript yet. When we get to JavaScript, we will understand what this code will be doing. But just to put it so that you see the full display of this code. So let me just add the JS. So if I go back to the front end now, and I refresh, let me inspect. So we are saying that what? Get element by ID dot event listener click function navbar link. Do we have the element with this ID? That is the first thing we should check. Where is the element with the ID? Yeah, we have elements. No, instead we have elements with what? Class, right? So we need to add, understand you will not know all this for now. So for JavaScript to be able to communicate, it needs to identify the elements, just like the way we used to select in CSS. So that, let me check again, get elements by ID with this. That's the, okay, toggle the spelling, okay. Click and get element by nav link. Let's check whether nav link, we have nav links. Yes, we have nav link, but I will also put ID nav links. Okay, so let me run and see if so that is not still okay. So what I'm going to do is that because I need to adjust so many HTML structure before this can work. So let me just proceed with the body. What I will do is that when I'm done with this one with just HTML and CSS, we'll start another one with JavaScript when we get to JavaScript so that it will not confuse you. Now, if you look at this site, Out of the three sections that I mentioned that makes up a website page structure, we have developed the first section, which is what? The navigation bar, right? And I told us that the essence of developing the navigation bar is to give users good experience, is to allow them to access different what? Navigation links that can help them to walk around the website. That is the reason why we set aside a section just for harboring what? Those links. Now, after that, the next section of your website is the main body. That is where you are to display the main contents you are advertising, knowing that the website is part of or is one of the main digital marketing what? Platform. So what are you advertising via the web? You have to write it here. Here, you only provided your logo and the links that will allow them to move to walk around your website. So this being the landing page, that is once they type www. Let's say www.n90.com. This is going to be the first page the browser will bring them to. And as they say, first impression, what matter? Somebody can get here and not being impressed with whatever he or she must have seen. That will make him or her not to bother to what? To go in here to check what you have there. So that is why you have to take quality time to make sure that the landing page is what? Super. Please. So now I want to teach us how to begin to publish content in the main body. After that, we'll now look at what? The footer. So once we have developed the main body and the footer, then we'll now assume that our index page is ready. Then we can now start using it to replicate for what? About us. We can now start creating content for other what? Pages before it becomes a full website. Is that clear? So we are going to start with the HTML structure of it. Of course, this is where the nav bar ends, right? The container that is holding all those things in the navigation bar ends here. So I'll come outside. So I'll use comment to help my ministry. I'll say from here is what? Body what? You can say main body section. Just to remind you, in case you are viewing this file, you know that, okay, this is where navbar ends. This is where the main body what? Begins. Now, your main body needs to be structured as well. We have to start by defining the HTML structure because we learned before now that the HTML is a structural what? Language. It's a language that helps us to define the structure of our website with the contents. So it uses the contents which are actually developed with tags, right, to form the structure of our website. Now, when it comes to structure, it's one of the most difficult aspects of web development. Design, layouts. Like I advised the other time, if you miss quality structuring, you might face some roadblock in what? CSS. So take your time to structure it very well. Now, there is a system which is used, one of the most used layouts to structure your website content is called CAD. CAD. Are you with me? CAD. So let's write designing the main body. Designing the main body of a web page. That is the topic. Designing the main body of a web page. With CAD concepts. With CAD concepts. So we'll start with the definition. What is CAD in terms of web development. When you hear CAD, what does that mean? Right. An HTML CAD is a design pattern, in bracket, that is what? The structure or layout is a design pattern. See what? Design pattern, in brackets, layout or what? Structure. Used to display contents. Emphasis, display contents. Used to display content in a visually appealing and organized way. In a visually appealing, organized way. Are we communicating? So what we are saying is that, look up, this is the body. The question we have to ask ourselves as developer is, the content that I want to publish here, how will I arrange them? How will I organize them? So we're talking about what? Appealing. That is what? A kind of arrangement that can entice someone, that can make some good, attractive. There is a way, let's assume that this is an e-commerce website as it is. And I would like a situation whereby when the user gets to this page, they should see at least picture of my key product, at least 2 of them, key products. And they should have a brief explanation about my company, about me. Then I will now put what? Learn more. Learn more. That is what? I will not use the homepage to explain everything about the company. But I should be able to give an intro. For example, now, let's say I am selling cars and somebody visits my site and the browser brought the person here as the landing page. Once the person gets here, the person should be able to see an attractive word, car, picture first, that will register in the person's mind that, it's like this website or this company. They are about what? Car selling or car business. Then I should also be able to say, welcome to what? Maybe NIT or the name of your what? Your organization, where we are one of what? The leading what? Tech firm. We have trained over millions of persons across the globe. We now put what? More. You stop there. You put what? Learn more. Or what? More. Now, that more is a button that will take them to what? About what? Page. Where you took your time to explain everything. Core value, mission statements, vision statements, your achievements, the ground you are still breaking. The reason is that when somebody gets here, most time, they will not want to go further if something has not what? Pegged them. So that is the reason why at that moment, you must know where to stop. We have trained over 1 million person or people within Nigeria. And they want to know and what? You stop there. After, and we have, you put more. You see that? You see the way you put it now? Not after you have said the main thing they want to hear. If not, because if you take your time to say everything, then they will not want to leave what? This homepage. And meanwhile, there are some informations that you have in other pages that you want them to see. So the question is that I will need an image to be published here. I will also need what? A write-up, right? So how am I going to arrange these two information? For example, will I want the write-up to come first and then have picture under the write-up? That is what? A service picture. That is a picture that explains the service. Or I want to have the picture first before what? The description of your what? Your services.
What am I calculating now? My design, layout. How do I want to present the content to them? Now, there should be a factor that you should always consider to know whether you are to bring the image first. You ask yourself, between the image and the text, which one do you think will catch someone's attention faster? Based on the action on the image you want to use, you will know, no, this image action will easily what? Catch somebody's attention first. Okay, let me use the image first to get their attention. Then they will relax and read. Then another way is that, okay, what about, there are some persons that like what? Reading first before they interpret what they are reading with what? An image. Then you now do your analysis between set of persons that are usually more easier or easily what? Attracted with picture, and people who are easily arranged with what? With text. Which one of them are more? Is you are the one that will do all this calculation. Then if your result shows that you are going to have more persons that image will attract, particularly if the image is what? Colorful. So you ask, okay, no, let me allow the image to come first. So there are calculations. There are a lot of mathematics in web development. It's programming. You have to calculate. There is no way I can teach you with all the calculations. The best I can do is what I'm doing right now, citing different scenarios, so that you can start from there. All right, so we are saying that most websites uses card concept. Card is just like a container. Please, I want all to see card as what? One container first. And this first container is called the row. It's called the row. Now, inside this row, as the first container, you can now what? Have division. You can now have like two cards. So this can be what? Card 1. This can be what? Card 2. Okay, what I want to code. This is the UI what? Designing of it now. Before I start interpreting it with code. Now, inside this container, I'll say, okay, image to come first. Then followed by what? Write up. And then the action button comes in here, which is what? More. Let's say what? More button will come in here. Then the same thing here, this card, picture can come first, followed by write up, and then the more what? Button as well. Okay, so now this can be the product image. This can be the product image. Now, this line will be the product title. I'm going to be sketching it too. Forget about the way I'm writing it. Just make sure you sketch it. Product what? Title. For example, now, what can be the product title? The product title can be the name of the product, right? Then this line is the product description, saying something briefly about what? The product. So product description. Then the product description can enter 3 lines, right? Make it brief. Then before the what? Action what? Button follows. Action. Action button follow. So you can see the format now. Now this is going to be a div. This is going to be a div element. The first div that will hold everything. Now this is going to be another div inside the what? The first div. This one will be class row. This one will be class what? Row. While this div will be class column. This one. Now there will be another div based on the structure. Sometimes you can do away with the third div. You can just work with what? First div, second div. So this div now is going to This is going to be a div with a class called what? Card. Then inside the card, that is where you have what? The description, the contents, like the definition I gave you now. I said what? The card is used to display what? Contents. So this is a simple structure. Sorry for my digital diagram, but I just want us to understand, to have the picture of what the outcome of our coding will be and how the layout was laid. Am I communicating? Okay, so I want to remove and continue now. Now, with that understanding, let me go to the coding section now with that picture in mind. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the first container, which I said it will be represented with what? With a div, right? So I will just say what? Dot card. Dot card. So I'm skipping the whole of that structure. Dot what? Card. Each time I type dot card, who can tell me what I'm about to get? A div with a class name what? Called card, right? Are you following? Now, the reason why I am going this way, out of those layers I gave us, I said the first one is the row, right? The second one is what? The column, right? The third div is what? The card. So I have skipped what? The first two div. You know why? Because it's one card design I want. You know, I created first box and I put what? Two boxes inside, right? Now it's just one. When I get to the product page, that is where I will create what? Different what? Card. Since it's one, you don't need that row div. You do not also need what? The column what? Div. You just go straight to what? Card div. That is the meaning. That is what I'm doing here now. So now, so in other words, this is a layout with what? One card. Each time I use the word card, interpret it to be what? Column, which means what? Vertical objects. We are just using development grammar. The meaning of that card is what? Column. What is column? Vertical. So how many columns are we designing now? How many columns are we designing? Just one column. Good. So now, the next thing I'm going to do, I would like the image to come first. The product image that I mentioned, right? The product image. So let me just call an image from my image folder. Let's say I'm using this. Now, that image needs to be given a class, if possible. It's a choice. So that you can, in case you want to talk to the set of, you know, you might have other image, like your logo is going to be an image, right? Now, you will not want a situation whereby when you are styling and you say image, it will affect what? Both other images and the what? The product images. So I would like all my product images to have the same what? Class name. So that whenever I am talking to all the product images, I will use what? The class name. So I will say what? Products hyphen what? IMG as my class. So let's go to the front end and check what we have done. So this is it here. Now, we are still deploying the card structure. The next thing is H3. H3 is for what? It's for the product title. Remember the layout I gave us. Product title. That's the name of what? The product. So let's say this is a, what name should I give now? Let's say laptop. Let's say this is laptop. Laptop. Go back there. You get the name under it. Now, the next thing is what? I talk about product description, right? So you use P tag, paragraph tag. Now this is where you are supposed to say something about the what? The product. So, but because of time, let me just use Lorem to create what? Sample tests. This is not a valid test. So you should have been given what? Some description about what? Each of the products. So if you are doing this for a client, you tell them to briefly explain their what? Those products. Or if they do not give it to you, the best you can do is to consult a browser. or go and ask ChatGPT, say something about this product, not less than what, or not more than 5 lines. ChatGPT will give it to you. Sharp, sharp. Copy it and what? Paste it. So let's say I just want to create a 30 words. So if I go back to the front end, so this is the brief word description of this picture, of this product. Now, like I said, the next thing is for us to create what? Action what? Button, right? So I will say what? A anchor tag, right? So I will say, maybe I must have created a page. So when let's assume that, let me quickly add a page here. Let me add file, which is called shop.html. So that is going to be okay inside CSS. Okay, thank you. So I will say shop.what.html. So this is where I'm going to display all the products. This is where I'm going to add to carts that somebody can click and then to call out a payment gateway and purchase directly from my website without visiting my physical shop. So which means that the picture I am displaying in my index page should be one of the products, and it should be key product that when somebody wants to buy it, when the person click on the learn more, which is the anchor tag, it should take them to the product page where they can see other products. So in that case, so I will just reference the shop here. Then I will write learn more. Learn more, or you could just say more. So if I go back to the page, and then you can see it here. So we are going to enhance all these elements appearance with CSS later. But we have to define the HTML structure. Are you with me? So it's either you get this with anchor tag or you use button. You can as well achieve it like this. You can call a button tag. There is a tag called button. Okay, where you can just write more. But if you are using this tag, you have to add type. Okay, you have to add type. Now, the challenge you will have here is that if you are using button, you are still going to wrap it in in an anchor tag. Are you seeing it now? So you are still going to wrap. So you remove the closing section of the anchor tag and bring it afterwards, the closing of the button, so that it can be clickable and at the same time be able to reference the address, the URL, where you should take them to. But if you just do button, you may not be able to add this section, and you will not be able to make it clickable. Now, the other button is that button give a design. Can you see the design? Automatically, there's a design it comes with. It makes it more user friendly. So it depends on you. If you can speak CSS to convert this text to look like button, fine. So let's just stick to one of them. I just wanted us to know that you can also use this option if you don't mind. So this is the first. This is the card. Just one card. Now I want to quickly switch to, this is what you do. If you want to make it 2 cards, probably what I will do is that in the next class where I will be designing, maybe I'll pick another page. I will use different structure. That page I will use like 2 or 3 cards. Because it is not advisable that as a professional, the way your home page is designed, when somebody gets to about us page, you maintain the same design. No. Each of the pages will have different design. How will you feel if you enter a house or a room? The same way they arrange chairs, the same set of things you have there. You enter another room, the same thing. will you keep entering others? The only thing that will make you to want to make sure that you get to all the rooms, because you want to keep seeing what? Different things. So if you have used one card in your homepage, don't use one card in your Evatos page. You vary the what? The structure. So, but this particular page now, my target is just what? One card. And the image will be 100%. Right up will be under it before the footer. Then probably when I get to shop or service page, I will now show us another design with multiple cards. That is how you progress. Okay, so based on this, I want to quickly dive into what? The CSS now, because it's just one card project. Very simple front page. Now, for the CSS, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to give us 10 minutes to write this code. Copy it in your notes now. This is where you start from. From here to this. Write it like this in your notes now. As an example of what? The card structure. So when I come back, I will just look at the CSS while we are using. So let me see if I can continue with that file. I think it's this. So I will just come down here. This is styling. You can be writing your CSS alongside with me, but once I'm through, don't say you should wait for me. I want to copy it. That's why I allow you to copy the HTML first. Styling the HTML card. Styling the HTML card. So remember the div was class what? Card, right? So I'll start with what? Dot what? Card. Now, the first thing is to define a background color for the card so that it can stand out from the page background. So I'm still using a hexadecimal method. So if I check the front end to see if there's any communication, so that color is equivalent to what? White. Equivalent to white. Then width. Width 280. Just so you can see that everything is aligning now. It was 100% before. That's why those lines were very long. Now that you reduce the width, see that all of them broke into what? Different lines. So the next one is border. I just want to add border radius. Border radius, we already know the work of it, right? Most of these, we are already familiar with them. So once I bring in the border now, you'll be able to see the radius. But I want to apply shadow, box shadow, just to make the card to stand out. Box shadow, I can just give a value of 0, 6 ps, space of, let's say 15 ps, and then calculate the RGB color, RGBA, RGBA. So RGBA 0, 0, 0. Like I told us in the last class, all these values are not fixed, so you can determine your own. Let's say I'm using 0.15. You can see the shadow here. I don't know if you are seeing it. You see the shadow? Okay, so let me increase it. The shadow is showing here, but I just want to see if I can. Let me just put, let me reduce it to 0 points. Or let me not put the alpha value so that you can see it first. I'll go back because, can you see the shadow now? Can you see it? That is the result of that shadow. So, but I do not really want it to be that smart because of, I just wanted you to notice that what? There is a shadow. So that shadow is just to bring, if I have another card now, each of them will be able to what? To stand out. So I'm going back to that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is overflow. The CSL property, where you say overflow, hidden because of the responsiveness that you are targeting. If I come here now, you can see that what is still like that, but that is not, but you can see the border radius now coming out now. But both the image and all this other information, they are inside the what? The card. Now, but I would like this card width to increase because it's just one card. I don't know if you are with me. It's just one card. So for that reason, where I said width is, I want to improve the width so that it can cover the whole of the space, since I don't have plan of adding any other thing here. So I can just come here and say what this. In fact, let me say 100. Let me not make it 100. Let me make this 1,000. Since I'm working with PS, let me make it 1,000. Okay, then I will float to the center, of course, since it's just one that I just want to have. Or better still, you say what? 100%. You can just say 100%. Okay, this is just one card. So the next thing I'm going to do is the card image itself. The card image, the picture. Look at this. As I display 100%, this image is not displaying what? It's not stretching, right? So it means that the image needs to what? Also be what? Stretch. So I want to talk to that. Make sure you are writing your CSS card what? Image. That is the next item I want to start. So it's a class element, or sorry, the image is not class, but if I don't want to class the image, remember the other concept I told you the other time, using parent to access what? Child element, right? So I can simply say what? Dot card, because I know very well that the image is inside the what? The card. So I will say what? IMG. So even that class we gave may not be necessary. So let's say the width of that image will also be what? 100 what? Percent, so that it will be equivalent to the card itself, 100%. So you can see that what I have it this way. Now, what is the challenge? Why is this image touching what? So we need to move what? The card down, right? So that is margin what? Margin what? Margin what? Margin what? Margin top. Remember what we are talking to. I am already in the card element. Is it margin top? Margin bottom. Bottom, right? Okay, so let me try bottom. So let's say space of 30 PS should be created. Margin bottom, nothing happened. Well, let's debug. Let's debug. That is margin bottom, right? That did not work. Now let's try what? Margin what? Bottom. Sorry, margin top. Margin top. Margin top. Perfect. Margin top. Our footer will come under here. Now, let's see, go ahead with styling of the image. The height of the image as well, I want to define it to be, let's say, what will I use now? Let me use like 500 PS and see how it goes first. If it's not okay, I go back. Okay, this 500 PS. Where did I add it? Okay, that is still on the average. Then we have there is a command that you can actually use to fit. We call it what? Object fit cover. It's just like the way we did the background color for the background image. Remember, I will say what? Background size what? Cover. That makes it to stretch to cover the entire wall space. So even if we have not spoken to the image as width, whatever, this will have what? Make it to what? To fit within each container. Okay, so now I am talking to the content inside the card. Now, card contents. Card contents. Card contents. What do you have in the card? Okay, the card content, let's say, is there any element with style card contents? Let me go back there. So that is what we need to know. Is there anyone with style card contents from the structure? There is no element with style card contents because if you don't have it defined in your HTML, then you shouldn't involve it. But let me see. So the layout here, though it can work like this, but it's just that we have a div here. The div that is holding both the what? That is holding both the product title and what? The explanation, other things before. That is the one I class. That is one I class what? Card what? Card content, right? Card content. So that is what I want to start now. So card contents, what CSS I program for it. I just want some internal space. So I'll say dot what? Card hyphen content. Then padding 15 PS. Just to give some space between words, all those items and words. Remember, it's the div that is holding the item and the image, sorry, and the main object, so that we will not have the issue we had here now, that we have to start what? Moving this down. So there is already what? Space between the div that is holding the content. That is the simple meaning of that. So now, let's also talk to those contents inside the what? The card, starting with the first one, which is what? Dot card H what? 3. Remember, inside that div, how many items do we have? If I should take up back to the HTML aspect of it, look up. Inside what we just spoke to now, which is this, you have the first item as what? H3, followed by what? P, followed by what? So we want to talk to them one after the other now. That is the meaning of card what? 3, which means that what? We are using parent element. Element with a class name called what? Card. We are using it to access what? The H3 inside it. So now I can say color, I can say, okay, let's say blue. The font size, all these are regular CSS properties. PS, Then font weight, let's say what? Border. So let me check. Then I want to make it capital letter. Text what? Transform, right? Upper case, check. Okay. Now I'm okay with that. The next item inside that same container is paragraph, right? So I will just say what? Dot card P. That's what? The paragraph tag inside what? The card elements. So I will also say color of it. Dot card P. Color. Color, let's assume we are using the same blue. The next one is I want to create some margin just to have some space between it and the H3 on the outside. So margin, just to give this HPS 0. So I only need the margin on one side. Okay, so at least that I've reduced it. Then font size also, I want to increase the size, font size, let's say, I want it to be lesser than the H3, be the header. So font style, I can say what? Italic. So let me check the front end. Okay, so this is also good. Then the button, in this case now, we did not use button. Instead, we use what? Anchor tag, right? And the anchor tag is part of what is inside the what? The card, right? So it's going to be what? Card what? A, right? It's going to be card A. So let's add some padding. Padding, let's say 10 PS by 14 PS. All right, so border, just to make it look like button, border, we say what? None. Then we want to make it look like a button by adding a background. And the background I want to add once this color. Let me check. Okay. Then color of the text, white. Let me also check. Okay. Then I want to drop that underline, which is what? Text decoration, right? That underline that it came with by default, I want to drop it. I'll remove it. Then the font appearance, let's say what? Text transform. I'll make it capitalize, only the first letter, right? Then I want to add a bold effect. That is a font style. I'm using another sort of font weight that you can use what? Font style. You will now write what? Bold. Okay? It's still allowed. But just that the font weight is the latest. Now, which other one? We are looking at the button. Once it's a little bit presentable, then we can leave it. We need to add some margin around it because it's too close to what? To the P content, right? That's if this button is touching what? The text. So I will just say margin. The margin I need, is it from all sides or just top? So we can just give general margin, no, because I don't want margin from the left-hand side. Let's display that block. So let's say what? Margin what? Top, right? Margin top. Let me leave space of 20 PS. I'll go and check. Did not move. So we change it to what? Margin bottom. Okay, we'll debug it. Margin bottom, let's say 10 ps. Did it work? Did not. Okay, so now it could be the way the way it's structured. Well, I'm coming, we must get it. So margin what? Now we are talking to, this is part of the calculation I told you the other time. Look up. You are talking to this one, it's not moving. Why don't you talk to the P and say what? Margin bottom or margin top? You see the logic now? Since that one is not moving, let's talk to this, to the P. So let me go to where I have P and say what? That margin top. Let me start with what? Margin top. Give me what? 30 what? PS. No, it's going to be what? Margin what? Bottom. So if I go back there now, perfect. So you can see the logic. So at least you have created a kind of a looking room, breathing space. They are not too what? Tight. All right, so we are going. So I want to add a hover to that button. Remember the concept of hover. If they touch it, right? There should be an effect. So that is the hover. So which means that what I will do is that I can just copy the whole of this. Control C, come down, paste it. Just come here and add what? Color, right? And just type what? Hover, right? Now, just changing the color. This is the actual color without hover. If they hover, definitely it should be this color. But it should be one of the color that is within your design, not outside the color you have used. So if they hover, I want to complement what? This color. After all, the image have what? That color. So what I will do is to go back and say if they hover, let me drop it here, The hover, it should be this color. So let's go back and check it. Now, but when it's on this, are you seeing the white text color? If it's on this text should switch to blue so that it can be more visible. So which means that the font color, I will change it to what? I will change it to blue. So let's go back and check. The hover, when it's showing this, then the text is complementing what? The other color. While the background color is complementing what? Another color. So it's the kind of calculation you have to do. Any question? Hope you have been writing your CSS. Any question? You said? So you can see this is what? Mobile view. Mobile view, this is okay. I mean, but this one is not what? Is the image. Part of the image is cut off, if I'm not mistaken. So which means that the image is not responsive to mobile. But what? This section is responsive. So what do we do? If you want the entire card, I want to add responsiveness to it, or just the image. So I will do what? At media query for the card. I'm saying maximum with what? 7 words. Good. So it's your classwork. What you are going to do for me now? Code everything as classwork. Code everything. This was not assignment. Your size should give me this. Everything under the header, the navbar that you said you have already implemented. So add this body section. Then your own, you are adding responsiveness to this image. I want to make sure that the image is responsive. I don't know how you are going to do it. It's part of what we have learned. Good luck. You can start.